Let's go! Welcome to the show. It's Project Open Mic. Let's get the show off right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here with me, cause it's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. Let's get a topic straight. Let's get things good. Let's do everything that we should. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. Let's open our minds and take out our style. Let's see what's going on in the world tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. It's Project Open Mic. Let's have a good show tonight. It's Project Open Mic. Let's kick the show off right. Alright, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's doing well. We back here once again with another episode of Project Open Mic. Hope everybody's doing good. Just making sure everything is running good. I apologize for no show last week because of just been a little tired and stuff like that, so it just happened that way. But let me make sure everything's up and running good. All right, yes we are. So again, thank y'all for joining us once again for another open episode of Project Open Mic. Hope you guys are doing well. We're back at it again. So a little late start, but we're gonna talk about topics. We thank y'all for giving me your time, your ear, your mind, just to listen to what's going on. So hey y'all again, I'm your host, Tay, and this week we have some stuff to talk about. So tonight's episode is about don't let them put a wool over your eyes. Most of my topics are mostly about watch what the government does. Sometimes you gotta watch what they do because I don't care. Again, I'm like I said, no matter which side you're on, people get power, abuses the power, and we gotta keep them in check because they will use their power to help them and not us, or people who are friends to help them all, but they won't help us. So again, I want to thank y'all for coming in and enjoying the show. Again, remember, if you are watching this video, you have a link in the description. You can check us out on there's a link tree to all kind of platforms. If you want audio, you can go to, of course, Anchor, Spotify, of course, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts. Any place you want to go, you put in Project Open Mic, you should be able to find this symbol, and you know that you're in the right spot. Other than that, if you want to join us live, of course, you get us on Tempo FM, YouTube, Twitch TV, Nico, you live now, and locals, Rumble. You don't forget to check us out on Rumble as well. So we're gonna be talking about again a lot of stuff tonight. So sit down. I'm gonna try to do it a little quick since I started late, so I don't want to keep y'all up in time. And again, for those who was talking about the video I did 2 weeks ago about we talked about the war in Iraq and in Israel and Palestine. Yeah. If you want to check out past stuff, you can go to the audio sites. But again, for the video, basically will be YouTube. You probably will go back on YouTube, like, subscribe, share the content. But that video got clapped by YouTube, so I gotta keep it on the low side of things. So with that said, we're gonna be talking about tonight's show. Again, don't let them put the wool over your eyes. But we have to talk about something that's very sad. As basically this early today, there were it was a mass shooting in Maine, and we're just gonna touch on it a little bit. I normally just wait about a couple hours to find out all the news and stuff like that. I don't like to jump on it because, again, government and a lot of crazy people like to use these things to say take away your guns, do all kind of stuff, whatever. I don't jump on stuff that quickly. I let it get a break so we can figure out what is going on first before we dig deep into what's going on. Because majority of times when people start speculating at the beginning of this thing, they always, majority always, the news media as well too, get it wrong. So I'm gonna just touch on it a little bit. My hearts and prayers go out for the people and their families who lost their lives to this psychotic person. Again, he was a military person. Sad how things go with that. But again, I still advocate for my situation of saying, again, if we know we got you on video doing this heinous crime, we don't need a court sentence. We don't need nothing. It's simple, bam, bam, boom, done, get it over with. Because we know what you did. I don't need to know. In this case, I'll be one of the few instances where we want to know why they live, but some of the whys is kind of like, okay, it's not an excuse for you to go out there and still murder and kill innocent people while they were not part of your dream, fantasies, whatever, manifesto, whatever you think, whatever you got against the world. So we're going to dive into that a little bit, but again, not a lot, because we just want to keep it, the subject as is in most cases, so we don't want to dwell on something, because I do not know all the information. I don't know all the information, so that's something we're gonna just dip in for a little bit, and then as it would say, dip back out. Okay, so let us go to that situation, which is a sad thing for real.
The genesis.
Of course, right off the bat, they would have to do that.
News we just wanted to update everybody on at the moment. Let's go ahead and put this up there on the screen. Several people have been murdered in Maine, Lewistown, Maine, after a man who is likely Robert Card, who's been named as a person of interest. Photos released of that man in a mass shooting incident at a bar in Lewistown, Maine, as I mentioned. Now, the details on this remain and still coming out. They show photos released by the sheriff's office of him holding some sort of rifle, rampaging through and murdering people. The death toll, Crystal, is unknown right now at this time. Mr. Robert Card of Bowdoin, Maine, is the person of interest, as I said, who was named by law enforcement. He is actually a firearms instructor and is a U.S. Army reservist as well. Some of the details also on the motivation, unfortunately, for Mr. Card. One document that's been circulated to law enforcement officials, Crystal, said that Card has been committed to a mental health facility for 2 weeks in the summer of 2023, did not provide details about his treatment, but said Card had reported at that time hearing voices and threats to shoot up a military base. So, okay, that's what we know about him so far. Has not.
That's the part that is, like I said, if this is things where you gotta I know we have to go between rights and freedoms. I understand that, and this is a situation where it could have, maybe we stepped in a little bit, it's a thin line in that regard because we know government, which I'll be showing you a little bit, government love to take their power and go overboard with it. The old saying, you give them an inch, they take a foot. So that is something that is crazy in that regard. But again, it's a hard thing, but I mean, for what he did, I mean, Mr. Carr, I'm sorry, but you are...
You piece of loser.
For going around doing that to people, innocent people, yes, you are. I don't care if you're military, ex-military, whatever. I would like, the only difference I give this regard is to find out what set him off. Did he have PTSD? Did he had something that was this or whatever? Now, most of the guys on the manifesto and the crazy losers and stuff like that, I don't care. Basically, 86, sit and done with it. I don't want no trial. I don't want nothing. We got you on camera. You're super guilty. Just get it over with.
Not yet been apprehended by law enforcement, but it does look like it is a horrific situation. We're not telling anybody what the death toll is because we don't know. That's been cautioned yet from law enforcement, but it's not small, unfortunately.
It's horrific.
Yeah.
It looks like this occurred at multiple locations, both a bowling alley and a restaurant in this town of Lewiston, Maine. What the local paper is saying is that at least 16 people were killed and perhaps as many as 22. Dozens more injured in multiple shootings. As Sagar said, he is still on the loose. So this continues to be an unfolding tragedy and breaking news story. People, residents in that area have been told to shelter in place. He is considered to be armed and dangerous.
Yep.
They said this morning that they did find the vehicle that they thought that he had used basically abandoned, but they still don't know where this dude is, according to what we have, the information that we have at this time. So a horrific situation. If these numbers do, end up being accurate, this will be likely the worst mass shooting in Maine history. Maine has not actually suffered with that many mass shootings as compared to the rest of the country. So our hearts break for the community there, for the people who have lost loved ones in yet another horrific mass shooting tragedy. And, a lot of questions here, of course, about the fact that he was known to have mental health issues. He was reportedly known to have said that he was hearing voices, that he wanted to shoot up a military base, and somehow still this firearms instructor able to, be free, have these kind of weapons, and perpetrate this type of horrific mass tragedy.
Yeah, that's going to be...
And that's why I say that. So it's sad. It's crazy. I have not seen any super updates about it. Hopefully they found the guy. Hopefully he apprehend them. If not, he get gunned down. Sorry, but yeah, that's just a bad situation. And again, hearts and prayers goes out to the people out there who have lost their loved ones and going through this tragedy. I feel for them. So again, sorry for that, but I just get an update. It is something that's like topical. This is a topical show. We talk about stuff that's happening right now. Again, it might not be right now. I've not seen if he got caught or not, but I hope they caught the guy, because this is a really bad situation, and I feel for the people who got to go through this. So another thing that I would like to talk about is basically we're gonna go into another situation. Like I said, the topic. So like I said, tonight's topic is about looking into what people like to pull the wool over the eyes. You gotta watch these laws and stuff like that. Now, I'm gonna explain this out for you simply for anybody out there, because I'm against this 1,000%. Every year in September, the government of the United States comes up with this omnibus bill. And this bill is a bill to fund the government for the next year. They put in the money, and mostly in that bill they shove in thousands and thousands of pork projects for each district, each whatever, and pass horrible, bad, stupid laws that let's put it. When that bill happens, it's all about
taxes. Taxes, beautiful, lovely taxes.
Thanks for taking my money, asshole.
exactly, and that's what it's all about. So In this bill, they pass a lot of crap as usual. Democrats and Republicans make no difference. Both sides does this. Okay? I don't like this omnibus bill. I think we need to like trim off half of the government because the government does not. The government don't do what it's supposed to do. The things that they're supposed to do, they don't. And the things that the projects they shouldn't. They're putting their hands in the cookie jar. They should not be doing. Leave that to just the people to figure it out. Okay. I'll give an example that I think is like if my shout outs to a coworker of mine, but I know ambulances is government and also private. I'm not against that. Ambulance though, I think we need to figure that out, and I think that's something, in my opinion, that I think the government should take care of that. The reason I say that because if I get in a nasty, horrible car accident and I'm unconscious, I cannot make that decision to. If somebody makes a decision without me to say, "Hey, let's take an ambulance to fly him." The reason I say it because for a coworker, their family member had got into a car accident. They're unconscious. They can't do nothing. That helicopter ride was $80,000. $80,000 without you making that choice. I think that is something the government should take care of. Because that was a tragedy. If you're a 2-car, 5-car, 6-car pileup, like stuff like that, yes, that one I think the government should pay for that. You should be government funded for that. I know a lot of libertarian friends can be like, oh, no, we don't have it. That's what we pay all this taxes. This is something you should be doing. Now, if I'm home here and stuff like that, no, I don't need ambulance. If I get in the car, and I take my chances. At least I can make that decision. But if I'm knocked out, bloody boot, and I didn't know nothing, whatever, and I can't do that, and then next thing you know, I wake up with an $80,000 debt bill, that's crazy.
Nani?
That's a lot of money to just put on somebody if you didn't do nothing or nothing happened crazy. So yeah. But speaking of that, like I said, so we're gonna go into. I want to give you guys an omnibus bill. That bill, they stuff a lot of stuff in there that you don't know. A lot of people don't know until the last second. That's what they do. That's what these pieces of crap like to do in politicians. So here's something for people out there. And again, this is why I said don't let them put a wool over your eyes and watch how they creep over. This is about cars. You know already don't try to push this. So in 2020, 35, we should get rid of electric. These should be all electric cars and all ICE, as they call them, internal combustion engines. All the ICE engines should be phased out. It ain't gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. I'm gonna do a show about that. I've done shows in the past showing that, but I'm gonna do another show about it because new data is coming out now. It's not gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen by that time. Electric cars is not the future of this. Excuse me. But I want to talk about this that they put in the bill for cars. That let's check it out.
Of the new legislation that mandates kill switches in all cars starting in 2026? Yeah, it was snuck inside a recently passed $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill and is a proposal to have a lockout device to be installed in all new cars. This is no joke and has already passed Congress and the House. So that means it's in play, it's the law until something changes that. A quote from law enforcement today commented that the infrastructure bill includes drunk driving kill switch in all cars, and some worry that
okay, and that's how they sneak stuff in. They give you, oh, this would be a good drunk driving. Okay, but then let's see the stuff behind it.
the government will abuse it. Drunk driving appears to be a cover for what can occur. The possibility for abuse is clearly something which bears watching.
Yep.
This could also give access to outsiders with spyware and hackers. Once you open up access to the electronics, it can be misused by the government, preventing
We already don't see that happening already in Chicago, where people are already done starting to hack people's cars because of the key fob and remote and stuff. So again, not a good idea, in my opinion.
You from driving during lockdowns and national health emergencies and opens up
Exactly.
access to criminals with bad intentions, as computer hackers could seize control of these vehicles. And this
Because here's another thing that she just brought up, which makes sense. Yeah, remember we had the scandemic, which we'll talk about in a little bit. You know the scandemic we just had? Wait a minute. Remember they told you should not go no place? So they could lock your cars down without seeing. Oh, I need to go get some water. Nope. I need to go check on my grandma. You ain't supposed to be driving. Lock your car down. They could do this. This is something this is the kind of power that should not be in the government, which we know they make pissant, stupid decisions.
This is a huge safety concern. And finally, elected officials are realizing this is a more serious issue than they thought when they passed the bill.
You think?
Now take a closer look at this infrastructure bill they jammed through, Section 24220. This mandates installation of equipment to listen to in-car noises and conversation.
What?
Yes. Monitor
No.
your eyes and
We already have that in the cars. I see that one because my sister just bought a new 2023 car and has it in the car.
kill switches to automatically turn off your car. It states all new cars in the United States will be required to install this kill switch by 2026. This section was passed allegedly to stop drunk drivers, but the law is very broad, and the concern is that it may lead to the government abuse of privacy, your privacy,
Yep.
especially as the government wants more and more control over your car.
Exactly. And again, it's too broad. They always make it too broad. They never narrow it down.
We've seen this in other areas of our lives too, and now it's in your vehicle. This would mean that any system that would require vehicles to be connected to the wireless networks, which isn't much of a stretch because we already have Wi-Fi in our cars,
Yep.
and since the majority of new vehicles, virtually all electric vehicles, come with Wi-Fi capability and automatic updates,
Maybe that's one of the reasons they want to have all electric cars that could control you.
General Motors was one of the leading car manufacturers to include in-car internet connectivity over 10 years ago through its OnStar system. Last November, former U.S. Representative Bob Barr of Georgia warned that such devices are a privacy disaster in the making, while further warning the law is disturbingly short on details. Law Enforcement Today published a piece on kill switches last year, which included this quote: "What we do know is that the safety device must passively monitor the performance of a driver of a motor vehicle to accurately identify whether that driver may be impaired."
Are you crazy? Passively? So you gonna be listening to me all the time? So again, if I say, "Oh, I don't like a Democrat, I don't like a Republican, whatever," and you, this could be used so bad.
Everything about this mandatory measure should set off red flags, close
Yes.
quote. Such a law has possible chilling consequences if taken to theoretical extremes. Why do you think the bureaucracy is pushing such a thing as a smart grid? Once again, that would allow the federal government to control what Americans set their thermostat at, how many hours per day you could run an air conditioner, and the
Exactly.
distance you can drive as well.
Exactly.
No, I'm not wearing a tinfoil hat, and many of these controls are already in place, and we
Yep.
live with them every day. But how many do you actually want?
Exactly.
We have covered automotive kill switches in the past, and you can check that out up here. But if you dig deeper, you'll find even more details. Nobody can argue that drunk drivers are an issue with road safety and everyone's safety. However, the latest proposal by the Biden administration raises some serious questions. From a police perspective, having the ability to shut down another driver's car, either operated by a drunk driver or a stolen car, could prove to be advantageous for everyone's safety. The elimination of dangerous police pursuits is a goal that all police officers would embrace in order to reduce the danger to the public as well as to officers themselves.
Yes, that's true. But I got a question. I got a question for this though. How accurate would the system kill switch would be anyway? There are millions of cars on the road. So let's say that the guy is drunk driving. Let's say the guy is running away from a scene of a crime or something. Can it police accurately get the signal, and the signal will not affect any other cars? Any other different things, any other vehicles? going at high speed or rate, stuff like that? Could it?
One problem identified is the fact that the proposed kill switches is an open system, or at least one with a back door, meaning that authorized or unauthorized third parties can remotely access the system for data at any time, like insurance companies.
Oh, Lord.
Or the government, or the car manufacturers.
Yep.
And that, of course, begs the question, who exactly will have access to your car's kill switch? Hackers, police department, Department of Justice, the IRS? Lawyers wonder if a warrant would be required in order to activate your car's system and shut it down.
Yep.
In all vehicles built after 2026, drivers will no longer have the sole choice as to whether or not a car may be driven. And instead, that decision will be, at least in part, put into the hands of the algorithm over which the car's owner or driver have neither knowledge nor control. While such technology clearly presents some advantages, as mentioned, parking drunk drivers and eliminating police pursuits, there are plenty of scenarios you can imagine a safety perspective for you and your teenage drivers or your elderly drivers and friends that could make you very concerned. Perhaps the interlock device is noble, but it is much too easy to abuse, and hackers will simply pretty much darn take advantage of it. And this is a bad idea, especially if it decides to make a decision based on the algorithm rather than the factors that are actually in play.
True.
This system could be utilized or adjusted down the road to alert law enforcement authorities that someone is speeding over the limit. This is already in place in the UK. I was just there and witnessed it myself. No, I didn't get pulled over, but you could see all the notifications that were coming up on the Waze app that they were basing your average speed, and they just send you a ticket. They take
Oh, hell no.
What the fuck?
Oh, that's just crazy.
take away your driver's license, and there's no way to get it back if you get caught speeding 3 times. They are tracking every move to keep us in line. And it is unknown how much it will cost new car buyers to pay for this additional new technology passed along by the manufacturer, because they're not going to cover it. You're going to pay for it.
Yep.
The kill switch is coming, and there's nothing you can do. And some of these systems are already in current vehicles. And the only way to undo this law is to defund and remove this current clause. Now is the time to speak up and tell your elected officials, I want this removed. We don't need these controls, and it violates your Fourth Amendment rights. I'm sure you've got some comments. I'd love to hear them. But if you like this video, give it a like.
And that's one of the things, again, don't let them try to pull the wool over your eyes, because this is the kind of people, the politicians and lawmakers,
You piece of loser.
are the worst kind of people to give that much kind of power to. But as Sean and Wade say, but wait, there's more. Let's talk about this craziness.
Of New Orleans is in the middle of a massive crime wave. This is what's going on.
Tonight, New Orleans is a city in crisis. Police are looking for leads.
Extremely violent crime wave.
The teenage boy is now dead.
Shot and killed overnight.
Dubbed the murder capital of the country.
They got us all again. They got you too. They almost killed me.
Top Story came to the Big Easy to investigate the violence. More than a dozen killings to start the year, picking up from an epidemic level in 2022.
In an American city, in the middle of the afternoon, in the parking lot of a grocery store, my son was killed.
Just 2 days before Christmas, Sherilyn Price learned her son Brandon Montrell was among the statistics. Police say the unintended target of a shootout. The 43-year-old comedian known as Boogie B on TikTok and on stage.
I'm at comedian Boogie B on Instagram. I appreciate y'all.
One of more than 260 people murdered in 2022.
What? Sad. Just like I said with the main thing, sad for what's going on. There's a problem, though. There's a problem. Like I said, going from what I just talked about with the government taking over your cars, you'll see.
I can't swallow the idea that I'd lose my child for absolute nothing, that nothing comes of it, that it's just another day, another number, and life goes on. Something has to change.
But change doesn't appear imminent. Car thefts have reached astonishing numbers. More than 500 stolen already this year, more than double the same time last year. More horrifying, carjackings, more than 270 last year. One gruesome case in March involved 73-year-old Linda Fricky. Surveillance video caught the midday carjacking. Fricky, caught in her seatbelt, was dragged to death, her arm severed from her body. All 4 suspects under the age of 18.
You piece of loser.
That's horrible. That is horrible and that's disgusting. And all of them were black young teenagers. Y'all pieces of crap who do this. This is why I said it's unthinkable that we have these animals. I'm sorry, that's what I'm gonna call them, because that's what they are. To do something to a person like that, despicable. And the thing about it is, this is New Orleans. Again, you're gonna see what type of town that went up to. But I like to stay in my little states where I'm places where I know people don't play that nonsense, because that's crazy.
You want these teens charged as adults?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Another incident, one man resorting to
Look at
throwing
that.
a pot of gumbo at his own car before jumping on the hood in an effort to stop it from being stolen.
If we don't get a handle on this now, I don't want to see how bad it gets during the summer.
Now, this is because the new district attorney has been super light on crime. Even
shocking. The new district attorney, huh? He's a black man. Oh, he's a Democrat. Why? He's a progressive. Not surprising. And of course, he has the whole...
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
refusing to prosecute some cases he claims to be racist. Now, does it matter that the police...
he said, okay, let me walk back. He said racist, right? He said these are...
attorney has been super light on crime, even refusing to prosecute some cases he claims to be racist. Now, does it matter that the police chief, the mayor, and all the top city of...
blackity black, all black. Racist? How is that racist? Oh, no, it's not. But again, wait, there's more.
Officials are black, he considers them to be part of the racist problem. Now, this has led to a revolving door where criminals are arrested and simply let go because the DA doesn't want to prosecute those cases. Here is the then chief of police calling it out.
And I'm Shelley Brown. The city is facing an unprecedented crime wave, and leaders say now is the time for action.
Yeah, that after a weekend of homicide shootings, armed robberies, and carjackings. David Jones has more.
That is what we do. That is what we will continue to do. Make the arrest. But it doesn't mean a thing if there are no consequences to their actions.
NOPD Chief Sean Ferguson calling out the revolving door culture when it comes to prosecuting crime.
We can make all of the arrests we want until the back portion of this criminal justice system does its part in ensuring accountability and ensuring consequences to their actions. We're going to continue to spin our wheels. Some of these individuals have been arrested before.
The police department has reached critical mass, and they cannot respond to all of the crime.
Rafael Goyeneche with the Metropolitan Crime Commission.
Yeah, because they do the whole defunding the police thing. Oh, good. Great job, guys. Great job.
Mission says it's an ongoing issue. People are arrested for violent crimes, have their bond reduced, and are back out on the street.
You reduce violent crimes. If you wanted a misdemeanor or whatever, okay, violent crimes. No, you don't. You arrest them. Jeez.
Moralizing an already shrunken police force.
The police department, even with their diminished resources, are focusing their resources on the most serious felony offenders, violent felony offenders. But the criminal justice system isn't doing its job and holding those people accountable.
According to Metropolitan Crime Commission numbers, the city's seen 36 carjackings since the start of the year. That's compared to 14 during the same time period last year and 3 in 2019. And they aren't confined to any particular neighborhood. Everywhere in the city has seen its fair share.
It's not just frustrating to the officers, it's frustrating to the citizens of this city to see that we are arresting and re-arresting. However, This is what we've been taking the oath to do, and we will continue to do just that.
Now, this has led to an explosion. And I mean explosion in crime. But the DA doubled down on his policies and responded to the police chief's criticism of his light on crime policies. Check it out.
First, if I can get your response. I know that
Listen
Chief
to this
Ferguson's
nonsense.
saying that he felt that there weren't enough consequences for the people they were arresting. If you could just respond to his statements that were made on that topic.
Sure. First,
Listen to this BS.
the people of this city are rightly frustrated. We are in the middle of a crime surge. It's a national crime surge, and it is
because of you
certainly affecting us here in Orleans Parish. And the people of the city don't want to hear leaders fighting or bickering. And when the chief says something like catch and release or a revolving door or wanting more accountability, we have to talk about the real facts and the real numbers, which means how many crimes of violence, carjacking, murders, and rapes are being solved, right? It's not enough to just say arrest or up with whether it's marijuana, cocaine, civil possession, crimes of poverty. We have to talk about specificity. People aren't worried about addiction crimes. We're talking about crimes of violence. And when you look at our numbers for carjackings, murders, whether it's prosecutions, whether it is the number of cases we accept, those numbers are on the national standard, right? What we need is for the chief to understand that their role in the criminal legal system does not end in simply arrest. You gotta have evidence in court. Juries demand it, judges demand it, they wanna look for it when they're setting.
You have evidence. You know the people who did. There's video. There's people you saw kill that lady for no reason, but you didn't want to prosecute because they're niggly bears.
Bonds, and it's unfair to point the finger at the 12 judges at criminal district court and the judges at juvenile court, and for him to say, and he knows they can't respond about open cases because of the canons. Judicial canons don't allow that. It is unfair to suggest that they are not doing their job.
Now, as you can imagine, this has led to more and more crime. And now,
as Tripp would say, shocking.
Now, the DA is a victim of his own light on crime policies. See,
You serious?
Yeah. See how funny that is, right?
on October 16, 2023, around 9:30 p.m., Williams was helping his mother into his car, a black Mercedes-Benz, which is pretty nice for that area. While doing so, two men popped up in hoods and masks and
they ain't white people, they were black.
Put guns in their face and demanded they get out of the car. Williams and his mom left the vehicle and they can be seen running down the street away from the evil men with guns. Now, neither of them were hurt during the ordeal, but
thank God I am not evil. Thank God that they didn't get hurt, including his mom, which we didn't need that.
Here is security footage of the incident. And listen to how the DA begs the carjackers to allow his 79-year-old mother out of the car.
I chose Wix for...
This part is just like I said, it is... like I said, I don't want them to hurt. The mother's not a part of this. This is just something that just happened that's unfortunate. But yeah, listen to this.
Get out the car, Mama. Let me get my mom out the car. Come on. Come this way.
Now, obviously, it's a sad day when someone gets carjacked at gunpoint because it's a traumatic experience. But here is what the DA said led up to his carjacking.
You don't necessarily think about yourself when you've got your family with guns drawn on them as well. And so seeing the fear in my mother's face, seeing the terror in her eyes when she looks at the gun and looks back at me and looks at the gun and looks back at me, fearing the worst for me and fearing the worst for herself. I mean, she's really messed up.
Oh, sorry about
She
that.
really shook up.
Just real quick on the positioning everybody. So you're helping your mom into the passenger side of your car?
Came around to the driver's side, and as I was getting ready to get into on my side, that's when they.
I see. So you had already gotten her in the, I guess, passenger side.
Yeah.
You're coming around to the driver's side.
Yeah.
Two guys both on your side with guns?
Yeah.
And what are the instincts that kick in when your 78-year-old mom is now at risk?
So they just kept telling me to give up the car, get out of the car, give up the car, and you know, Linda Fricky was on my brain because my mom doesn't move very quickly now. And
now the lady is on your brain for what is, but you didn't want to arrest the
You piece of loser.
who did horrible stuff to Linda Fricky.
I said I can't until I get my mom out of the car. And they kept repeating, give up the car, give up. I said, okay. Put my hands up, 2 guns. I didn't fight anybody. But I said I can't until I get my mom out of the car. And I told her to get out of the car, and she was doing her best to get out of the car. And as soon as I was able to get her away from the car, we backed away. And
which is, again, a traumatic thing to happen, and I feel bad for them, for including the mother, for what you're going through. You think you should not be going through none of that stuff at that age.
Because they just carjacked the DA, you know, all hands on deck, and the police arrested an 18-year-old connection with the carjacking. His name was Raymond Rachon. Check it out.
Roshan was arrested less than 24 hours after the high-profile carjacking of New Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams and his 78-year-old mother. Roshan is accused of being one of the 2 gunmen who approached Williams and his mother with guns drawn near Magazine and Ray Streets in the Lower Garden District around 10 Monday night. He's also accused of a second carjacking on Barone 30 minutes later. Following his arrest late Tuesday afternoon, Roshan was booked in 3 prior auto thefts for which arrest warrants had been issued. According to court documents,
I don't know. Maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe if we are not let him out, since he has 3 prior arrests and everything, maybe he would have never robbed you, sir. Just saying. Just saying.
Roshan was picked up near his home in the 7600 block of Brevard Street on Tuesday in the Little Woods neighborhood. Police say they tracked a stolen Dodge pickup truck allegedly used in the carjackings to Roshan's home. Court documents indicate as officers were reading Roshan his rights, he interrupted and said, "I know why y'all are here. Y'all's people have been got," a reference to DA Williams. Roshan is now facing a list of charges for Monday night's crimes, including unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, illegal possession of stolen things, and illegally carrying of a firearm.
So the carjacker,
you can't make this stuff up. You just can't.
Who's been in and out of prison in that revolving door we were talking about earlier, now has carjacked the DA. But in a shocking surprise, guess what? He's in on bail and he's not getting out until he goes to trial.
Nani? Shocking how that is, right? So the DA, we're gonna keep him because how dare you peasant mess with royalty, mess with the high echelons. But you other peasants, he could terrorize you for all I care.
That doesn't seem light on crime. That seems tough on crime.
Is it
because it happened to the DA and didn't happen to someone else? This case illustrates the irony and dilemma of being a progressive prosecutor in a city plagued by crime and violence.
Yes.
On one hand, Williams is trying to reform the system that he believes is unfair and unjust, but on the other hand, he's facing the consequences of his own light on crime policies. Do you think Williams is going to change his stance of...
No, he won't. No, he won't. He still wanted to do the bull crap he did, which is the crappy part. Again, the powerful will protect themselves all the time. That's why I was laughing. People are like, oh, yeah, give it all the guns. But then you got security guards. I hate the celebrities coming with that nonsense. Shut up. Shut up. Seriously, just shut up. You don't have the power for that stuff, okay? It ain't that. No. Now, we're going to go into another part of the realm of this nonsense. All right. I want to point this out because this is very important to point out in the first place. So let's point it out. Like I said, we get back to the scandemic before we go into one more thing before we call it a night. In the scandemic, check this out.
Research was going on in that lab, and NIH funded it.
Remember when Senator Rand Paul accused Anthony Fauci of funding China's Wuhan virus lab?
I totally resent the lie that you are now propagating.
The media immediately criticized Senator Paul.
Rand Paul,
of course,
stop it. You look like an idiot.
Dr. Anthony Fauci blasting Senator Rand Paul.
Senator Paul, you do not know what you are talking about.
Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. You
piece of loser.
Anthony Fauci once again forced to call Rand Paul a sniveling moron. But some now have changed. Major shift. NIH admits funding risky research and
well, will you look at that?
Wuhan. Paul might have been onto something.
To me, it's not so much about them admitting or apologizing. It's really about trying to prevent this from happening again in the future.
Paul also pushed the then controversial idea that COVID began with a lab leak.
All the evidence is pointing that it came from the lab, and there will be responsibility for those who funded the lab, including yourself.
Did COVID leak from this lab, which did experiments funded by the U.S. government? The media told us, no, COVID came from an animal.
The working theory.
I never, I've been doing this show for about 3 years. And the 2 months before this thing got crazy, I was like, wait a minute, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right here. Let's put our brains together. It came from a bat that was at a wet market. If they were eating this bat all this time, now they get a disease, that don't make no sense to me. You eat fish, you been eating fish for all this time, and then now you got a fish poison that's gonna kill out the whole world? That's so weird.
Is someone butchered a bat, came into contact with its blood or urine, and then touched his or her nose or mouth.
Everybody was...
What kind of cockamamie idea was that you just explained? Wait. Reverse. What? Play that again.
Touched his or her contact with its... Someone butchered a bat, came into contact with its blood or urine, and then touched his or her nose or mouth.
Everybody...
What? What the fuck?
Oh my goodness.
What he was saying came from animals, from bats.
I initially was there too. Then there became reports of 80,000 animals being tested, no animals with it.
No animals with COVID, but...
We know that 3 people in the Wuhan lab got sick with a virus of unknown origin in November of 2019.
And that was more than 1,000 kilometers away from where bats live.
Exactly.
Not only that, lab leaks are common.
Accidents do happen. Labs in Singapore, Taiwan, and China accidentally infected themselves with SARS.
SARS escaped from labs. So did smallpox, anthrax, and flu. Now the FBI and others agree with Senator Paul.
The Department of Energy has concluded COVID-19 likely came from a lab leak in China.
So evil Chinese scientists in a lab funded by America?
America funded it, and I think it was maybe not done with evil intentions. It was done with misguided notion that gain-of-function research was safe.
Gain-of-function research? That can mean making viruses stronger.
They sometimes create viruses that don't exist in nature that are now more infectious. They've gained the function of lethality. Or
sometimes humans are our own viruses. We're our own infection sometimes.
Or infectiousness by being combined in a lab.
They're trying to find ways to stop diseases.
But many scientists have now looked at this and said, we've been doing this gain-of-function research for quite a while. The likelihood that you create something that creates a vaccine that's going to help anybody is pretty slim to none.
I could have told you that, and I'm not even a scientist.
The media is weirdly uncurious about this.
We have a disease that killed maybe 16 million people worldwide, about 1 million people in America, and they're not curious as to how we got it. You're trying to obscure responsibility for 4 million people dying around the world from a pandemic.
Senator Paul details his arguments in this new book, Deception, the Great COVID Cover-Up. It points out that Fauci once justified the risks of gain-of-function research.
He said in 2012, even if a pandemic occurs, if a scientist becomes infected and the community becomes infected, the knowledge is worth it. Well, that's a judgment call, and I would say there's probably 16 million families around the world who might disagree with that now.
Dr. Fauci didn't give your money directly to the Chinese lab. He gave it to a nonprofit called EcoHealth.
EcoHealth Alliance is working on the ground to stand between you and the next pandemic.
EcoHealth Alliance. Most Americans haven't heard of it.
They were able to accumulate maybe over $100 million in U.S. taxpayer dollars, and a lot of it was funneled to Wuhan.
EcoHealth.
Why am I not surprised that they taxpayer money? This is why I talk about the bill before, how they sneak-ish into stuff like this.
Health is run by zoologist Peter Daszak.
Set our sights on the...
Wait. Why is a zoologist... Why is a zoologist running something that's supposed to help?
Next pandemic. We can stop it emerging. We can save lives.
Before the pandemic, Daszak bragged about combining coronaviruses in Wuhan in hopes of creating a vaccine.
My colleagues in China did the work. You create pseudoparticles, you insert the spike proteins from those viruses, see if they bind to human cells. And each step of this, you move closer and closer to this virus could really become pathogenic in people.
The spread of a new deadly disease.
Once COVID broke out, Daszak was less eager to talk about the experiment.
Of course he was.
He funded.
Peter Daszak has refused to reveal his communications with the Wuhan lab, and I do think that ultimately there is a great deal of culpability on his part.
In addition, Daszak and Fauci got other scientists to sign this letter, published in a prestigious medical journal, saying they
strongly condemn conspiracy theories suggesting that COVID-19 does not have a natural origin.
They squelched all dissent and said you're a conspiracy theorist if you're saying this, but they didn't reveal that they had a monetary self-incentive to cover this up.
We asked Daszak to answer the claims in this video. He didn't respond.
Of course
he won't. To give you an example of who he is and how the money changes hand, this is a guy who has $15,000 cocktail parties at the Cosmo Club in D.C., invites Anthony Fauci and others there for cocktails.
They're really criticizing science because I represent science.
If you represent science, we're totally effed. And technically speaking, me totally effed. Because of you and your bull crap, a lot of people died, a lot of people lost their jobs. You made the country a little more worse than what it is right now. Again, you, sir, are a...
You piece of loser.
I think he is the defender of the funding of science, the business of science.
And what about the NIH, run by our government? They are still funding gain-of-function research.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a risk to civilization because we could wind up with a virus that's 50% lethal, that leaks out of a lab and kills half of the planet.
Thank you, government. Thank you. That's what it's all about. Oh my goodness. And again, let's finish it up with this right here about because these as you just see how Fauci is all about the money. It's all about trying to get stuff. They're trying to get their own hand in the cookie jar to get as much money as they can out of the taxpayer, out of me and you working our butts off. Because it's all about money. We're going to make up stuff just to get more cash. People are evil. Like I said before, evil comes in all shape, size, color, creed, height, sex, nationality, occupation. It makes no difference. Evil. I represent good. I want good people only. So I don't care what the stuff is. But look, here's another set of evil that these people are doing just to get money. One, money's always the number one thing. And two, the self-righteousness of trying to be like God and trying to act over people is another weird thing that a lot of these doctors and scientists like to try. Example, we're going to be talking about this now.
Connecting trauma to the development of transgender identity is that there's a lot of money in this.
Exactly.
Pharmaceutical companies are making a ton of money from medicating kids.
Just think of the money that can be made in medicalizing healthy people. And if we're talking kids, right? So you start them on puberty blockers when they...
She said it perfectly. healthy people.
They're prepubescent. And then the next stage is to give cross-sex hormones.
If you put a child on puberty blockers and then cross-sex hormones, that child is medicalized for life because their body's never going to develop the capacity to make the hormones that the child needs.
As I've stated that multiple times on this show, multiple times.
And then that lifelong hormonal treatment leads to other complications that then require medical intervention, right? So you're essentially making a healthy person sick and making them completely dependent on expensive pharmaceutical drugs in order to maintain this identity. There's a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah, and I gotta say this right here. I'm gonna point this out in this picture you saw there. These are not pictures, these are not hands of boys. These are pictures of females doing this. This is a pandemic itself on its own that they're doing this to females. Protect the females, but they're doing this horrible thing to females.
There's a lot of money to be made there.
Just sex reassignment surgery over the next 5 years is expected to be $1 billion industry. If being
$1 billion.
Transgender is a biologically fixed thing, which I don't believe it is, but if it is, there is a finite number of people for whom that will be true. These market reports say that it's a growth industry. Well, the only way it's a growth industry is if it's being marketed, and it is being marketed.
Only the new Sleep Number smart beds let you both.
This part is just ridiculous in a situation of cases like this. But it's all about, like I said, it's all, like I stated before, it's all about the money to do some of this stuff here. Because again, I have no problem if you want to, like I said again, if you're old and you're over 18 years old and you want to do this, all right, go ahead and do this. That's your choice, your money, you use it, you do it for what you want to do. I have no problem against that because you're a grown person. But leave the kids out of it. Just leave the kids out of it. And again, you're doing this at a young age. There have been multiple research showing that doing this at a young age makes stuff, your body does not acquiesce back to it. That's the situation of this. If you want to go ahead and be a man who want to turn into a woman, or a woman want to turn into a man, and you're over 18, do it with your own money. Like I said, I don't care in that regard, in that situation, okay? That's not my argument against that, because I don't care if you do that, because again, I can't stop you from doing certain things when you're old or whatever. Here's the thing though. And again, I know people who are transgender who are also against what, this is in that regard too, because they saw what's going on and how they do this. But my stance has been and always will be this. Leave the kids alone. If they're gonna transgender into whatever you wanted to do in transgender, let them get old. Again, if you think that you have gender dysphoria and all that stuff like that, you pay for it. You should not get no damn taxpayers' money for that nonsense. You should get paid for it. Just if I want to do something, I should pay for my own stuff, because again, a lot of people don't do that. And also as well too, if you're transgender and you mostly men who transgender into women, stop pretending to do that to people. And I mean I'm saying that. What I mean by pretending, if you're going to do this if you're going to be a woman and you're going to do it to a man, all right, tell them up front. So if they want to do this, they have the option. Because if you trick somebody, a lot of the transgenders sadly are dying. As I've shown many stories of a lot of men who pretend to be women and try to trick men, they got 86. They got 86 who mess with people. And again, I showed a story also where a woman who also, a woman who transgendered into a man, and a woman trying to say that we have kid, and a woman killed her because of how she played the game. Stop messing with people's emotions like that. If you want to be a man, you want to be a woman, you want to be all that stuff, that's on you, do that. But you're lying to people and you mess with emotions in that regard, tell them up front, hey, I'm gonna do it. I was I'm a dude. I was a woman before. Okay. They made that option. Oh, I'm a woman. I'm a dude, but I was a dude before I was a woman. Okay. Well, sir, nice knowing you, but I don't go with that. So I wish you the best way. It's ma'am. Okay, ma'am, go where it is. I don't like I said, when it comes to names, I call them names, whatever. I don't go with the whole he, she stuff, whatever, and all that stuff. But hey, it is how that all works out because people say certain things. So I'm not against thing with that, but like I said before, you want to do it. And it's funny again. We got Dylan Mulvaney, a guy who became a woman, and now he's Woman of the Year. I mean, kind of insulting, but I digress from that.
Of making it to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this.
But let's continue going into this situation.
Button. But today we are going to be talking about the Transgender Industrial Complex.
I think we should have that conversation.
But first, let me start off with a story. Once upon a time, there was a drug called Leuprorelin. I just started my story and I'm messing up already.
Yes.
Leuprorelin.
Yes.
That went by the brand name Lupron. Lupron was discovered in 1973 and patented in 1985 to treat advanced prostate cancer. You see, prostate cancer cells grow and spread when they are fueled by male hormones. So what Lupron does is it deprives those cancer cells of male hormones. It doesn't cure prostate cancer, but it treats it. It does of course have side effects, but we will discuss those later. Lupron does not only suppress the production of male hormones, but can also be used to suppress the production of female hormones. Lupron can also be used to treat precocious puberty, endometriosis, uterine fibroids, breast cancer. It can be used to help women have successful IVF treatments, and it can also be used to chemically castrate sex offenders. The end.
No, could you repeat it? Because I can't believe my f***ing ears.
The ACLU is the American Civil Liberties Union, and they are currently suing many states across America to overturn the ban on gender-affirming care, meaning that, amongst other things, they are advocating for children to have access to Lupron, even though Lupron does not have FDA approval to be used for gender-affirming care.
And I agree with that right there. And again, why y'all messing with the kids? Just wait until they get 18 and go after them then. Let them make the decision. That's what I would say.
They are also advocating against sex offenders being castrated with Lupron because they believe it is cruel and unusual punishment.
Wow, what a waste. The poor children.
So how much does Lupron cost, you may ask? The average cost of Lupron in America is $2,059 USD per month.
It's expensive. Gotta make money.
But what is the cost to the individual's body?
So Lupron has quite a bit of side effects. One of the most famous ones is bone density loss. So it can really affect your bone health. The bone loss is actually a permanent side effect from Lupron. Another one of the side effects is brain fog and IQ loss when used on young people.
And the kids are, and like I said,
wow, what a waste. The poor children.
Because we already don't know. Schools already got these kids stupid.
Other side effects of Lupron include if the drug is used on a girl who's already experienced a period, it can induce violent menopause in her. So all of the symptoms in menopause, all at one time, horribly violent, unbearable, and it's literally described as violent menopause. Dr. Marcy Bowers, also trans, a surgeon. She is famous for being the surgeon who performed Jazz Jennings' bottom surgery. Dr. Marcy Bowers specializes in male to female transition, and she said 100% of her patients that she transitioned from male to female, the ones who had their puberty blocked in their youth, none of them are able to reach full sexual function and experience orgasm. Other side effects that are interesting: libido loss, depression, severe mood changes. My question is, this is starting to sound like a self-perpetuated cycle, right? Because puberty is the mechanism by which a lot of gay kids discover that they're going to be gay or that they are gay during their puberty. That's when their attraction.
So there you go. I ain't got nothing against that. If that's what that makes common sense right there to me. Yeah.
Comes up. That's how they can be figuring
Figure it
themselves out.
Yeah.
A lot of feminine boys that might relate more with girls in their youth figure out through puberty that, oh wait, I'm not a girl, or I'm not supposed to be a girl, I'm just gay.
So the term puberty blocking or puberty blockers really shouldn't be used. It's not accurate. There's no way to block puberty with medications or with anything. We've been told by various organizations, including prominent medical groups, that you can pause puberty, giving the child time to think about what gender they want to be.
And I was, and even that, I was like, wait, because you can't pause aging. We know that. Can't stop time. We know that. That's the biggest factor we have against us humans is time. But, uniquely weird.
That they're reversible and they're harmless is just not true.
No, it ain't
the brain does not grow as one unit. There are certain sections that do not complete maturation until even into young adulthood, mid-20s. We do know that some of the last areas to mature are the frontal cortex, involved in executive function, making decisions. There are things that need to happen in sequence, hormones that have to be introduced that help with brain development, bone development, muscle development, coordination. If we stop those, we don't know what that does.
Lupron is not the only option when it comes to puberty blockers. There is Zoladex, which is an implant that goes under the skin, and the average cost is $916 per month. There is Suprelin, which is also an implant that goes under the skin and is good for 1 year, and the average annual cost is $49,914. And there is also a drug called Trelstar, which is an injection that has an average cost of $866 per month.
That's a lot
Just
of
like
money.
Lupron, all of the medications that I mentioned can be used to treat other conditions such as endometriosis, uterine fibroids, prostate cancer, breast cancer, and they can also be used as chemical castration. And the cost for these drugs may be lower or higher depending on the dosage required, as well as depending on which pharmacy they are purchased from, but these are just ballpark figures to give you an average. According to Reuters, in 2017, 15,172 youths between the ages of 6 and 17 were diagnosed with gender dysphoria. In 2021, this number more than doubled and was approximately 42,167 youths.
Perfect time right around the scandemic. How that works out. Convenient, ain't it?
The same study found that in 2017, 633 youths were on hormone blockers to treat gender dysphoria, and in 2021, that number doubled to 1,390. These numbers are almost certainly an undercount because the data only includes the children whose treatments were covered through insurance companies with a gender dysphoria diagnosis. So it doesn't account for children who have received gender affirmation care without a gender dysphoria diagnosis. It doesn't account for children whose parents are paying cash for the treatment, and it doesn't account for children whose treatment is being covered through Medicaid. You know, the most troubling thing about this trend is that we can clearly see that the number of children claiming to be experiencing gender dysphoria doubled following the pandemic. You know, that same pandemic where we were all locked in our houses with nothing to do but be on the internet. That same time period where a bunch of girls started spontaneously developing Tourette syndrome from learning it on TikTok. That same time period.
These are some of the tics associated.
TikTok is a disease anyway. That's one of the reasons I know a lot of people ask me, why don't you be on? No, I'm not. There's some things I don't be on X, I don't be on TikTok. Just I ain't.
With Tourette syndrome, a neurological condition that is 3 times more common in boys than in girls. However, medical experts have been seeing a rise in functional tic disorders in teen girls, and they're linking the increase to the popular social media site TikTok.
I suspect in the upcoming years, the number of kids believing they are trans will continue to double as we continue to see schools, media, and the healthcare industry be infiltrated by gender ideology. And speaking of the healthcare system being infiltrated by the ideology, you know how there is the ESG score? And that's the reason why we continue to see these companies, go woke and go broke, cough, cough, Bud Light. Did you know that there is something similar to the ESG score that applies to hospitals?
Yep.
It is called the Healthcare Equality Index.
Which again, with this, just help people. The thing about it is just like, Why are we doing all that? You're a boring person if you got to go do all this stuff. Just help regular people. You know, there's a lot of people who have like cancer. There are a lot of people who have sicknesses out there. Let's treat those and do all the other stuff. This stuff right here should be whatever. Again, don't mess with your kids. If you think you have gender dysphoria and all that stuff, again, no, I'm not against you. Wait until you're 18 and go take the surgery. Pay the $8,000 or the $49,000 a year, like they just said. You an adult, you make that decision. Go right ahead. God bless you. But the kids who don't know what's going on, all that stuff, and like to follow trends, no. Leave the kids alone.
This is a scorecard that was developed for use in hospitals by the Human Rights Campaign, and the scorecard measures the equity and inclusion of their LGBTQ patients.
I just don't understand how 1% of the population got this much power. I just don't get it.
This scorecard is on a 100-point scale, and they award points for doing things like asking children their pronouns, even though they have no history of gender dysphoria, writing the child's pronouns on the whiteboard outside of their room, even though they have no history of gender dysphoria, doing things like wearing a pin that has the trans flag to let people know which master you serve. Basically, you get woke points for pushing the agenda.
True.
And would you like to guess who is funding the Healthcare Equality Index? And here are your options. A, Pfizer and Pharma. B, Pfizer and Pharma. C, Pfizer and Pharma. Or D, all of the above. Yes, you got it right. That one. You are so smart. The one that you picked, that's the right answer. Pfizer and Pharma. Pfizer, the company that we all love and trust so much. The company that always has our best interests in mind, and they're so honest all the time and they never lie. That company.
Try Popeye's new spicy truffle chicken sandwiches.
Yeah, we already know how that situation works out. Pfizer and Pharma. Yep, that's what it is.
$1,200 health systems in America are participating in this woke rating system. Oh, and you know what else you get points for? For prescribing puberty blockers to children who say they are experiencing gender dysphoria. And hospitals are penalized on the scorecard for allowing, quote, discriminatory treatment that is in conflict with their non-discrimination policy. So a doctor or a nurse will be seen as discriminatory if they question a child that says they are experiencing gender dysphoria. So when you have this in mind, it now makes sense as to why it is so easy for people to get a doctor to diagnose them with gender dysphoria. Not only are there no formal guidelines, no formal diagnosis manual to diagnose someone with gender dysphoria, but if a doctor doesn't affirm the patient, then they are seen as discriminatory. And although the scorecard is not legally enforceable, when a hospital has a bad score, it puts a target on their back to be sued for human rights violations. And groups like the ACLU have been suing these hospitals for human rights violations. Just take, for example, last year in 2022, when two hospitals in Texas, the first being UT Southwestern Medical Center and the second being Children's Health in Dallas, lost 25 points because they stopped using puberty blockers to treat gender dysphoria, but continue to use them to treat precocious puberty, the original purpose of puberty blockers.
The pharma companies are the strippers. They just want your money.
According to a market analysis report completed by Grandview Research, in 2022, the sex reassignment hormone therapy market was estimated to be worth $1.6 billion and is expected to grow to $2.23 billion by 2030. They also estimated that in 2022, gender reassignment surgery was a $2.1 billion industry, and it is expected to grow to $5 billion by 2030.
Yep.
The growth rate is largely being driven by young women who are undergoing gender reassignment surgery to transition to transgendered men.
We're trying to save children from.
But you know the funny thing, and I've said this before, I have not only have said this, I've seen this. Again, a lot of the women who like the suicide rate is higher for trans men than trans women. because the women learn hard, which is hard. And again, you're grown, you do this, hey, but they learn that, you know, men's life is not as easy as they think they are. The patriarchy and all that stuff. Nah, without men, and again, we are a symbiotic, you know, that's what we are, men and women. We need both of them for this planet to survive, one. Two, I was like, we don't need men. Okay, then go live in a cave, because if without the men cleaning the sewers, getting electricity in the powers, doing your car, doing all that stuff, you ain't doing that. Your society will crumble. It will. And that doesn't mean that we don't need women, because I love my wife, and she does a lot of stuff in my household, and that's in the household. And I see a lot of women do a lot of things that they are very important too. But let's be honest, most of societal works, women don't want to do it. Only maybe about 5 to 10% of women say they want to do it. Why? Because I've been to places where my job is more like, again, even like my job being at technical, as technical as it is, an architect. I do know a friend that I grew up with. She has an office. She's an architect. Most of the people who are in her job, and she's the boss, is men. The architects in my office, there's one woman, rest are men. And I have nothing against bringing women into the situation. It's just that we work crazy hours. My wife could tell you sometimes she don't like it. I understand that. But we work crazy hours sometimes. And come home a little stressed. It's a stressful job. And yeah, not many women would like that kind of job. And I said many. There are women, again, who are doctors, nurses, who do a lot of stuff. There are more women nurses out there than men. God bless them. But, you know, but it's pertaining to that being women. But there's a lot of jobs that are stressful that a lot of women would not take on. Those are some, lawyers and all that stuff, but the numbers do not punch out the same when you look at the numbers across the whole spectrum of the job. Excuse me. There are more female teachers because male teachers are looked at weirdly because male teachers are for school. Oh, it's kind of weird to have that. We can't have that for also, I get it, because males do some crazy stuff too. Men ain't perfect. Men do some horrible stuff as well out there. We are not all perfect. There's no such thing as perfect. So this situation of this is sad, and to see, like I said, a lot of women who transgender to men, and I've played the videos and I showed the people. Some of those people have passed away because they thought it would have been perfect, but no, they found out women don't talk to them. They look at them as creeps. They don't get away with a lot of stuff. I've done multiple videos, and I'm gonna keep on doing more of those videos. You go check out the No Chasers part, where women do horrible crimes and they get away with it, or they get the most lightest sentence, 2, 3, 4 years. A man never does that. Even look at that. They got killed, or they're gonna be in for 25 years. And again, if they do crimes like that, I have no problem for the men being there for 25 years. I just want equal honor to the rights of the law. I don't care if you're black. I don't care if you're white. I don't care if you're green. I don't care if you whatever. You took another person's lives. Nah, you get a bad thing. You do horrible stuff. No matter what it is, I don't care. Conspirators or not, you go to jail. But anyway, let's keep going.
From being sterilized. This is, in a lot of ways, a eugenics issue. These are kids with mental health issues who are being sterilized. That's eugenics. Kids with autism, kids who have been sexually assaulted, kids who have eating disorders, kids who have depression, kids who have anxiety are being sterilized by this ideology. It's not inclusive to tell children that because they're autistic, because they've been traumatized, because they've been depressed, that they should transition. I always feel like this is really stigmatizing people with mental illness, because the transgender activists are insisting that this is not a mental illness. And the message is that it's better to accept somebody's false reality than to say that they have a mental health issue. And that's really stigmatizing mental health issues.
As we saw right now, as the beginning of the show, like I talked about, with a guy who's out there shooting people, he had mental issues. That's something that we should figure out and make the right decisions and stop coddling certain things. And again, the guy who's up there killing innocent men and women and children.
You piece of loser.
Yes, sadly he has a mental issue. But again, you shouldn't be. Why don't you? I always say, do that to yourself. Don't kill other innocent people for your craziness, man.
That's saying that it's so bad to admit that you have a mental health issue that we have to bend reality and force everybody around you to adopt that reality rather than admitting this is a mental health issue.
I'm not vilifying the parents because they're being told that their kid will kill yourself. That is such a harmful thing. I believed it. I believed that I would kill myself if I didn't transition because I already knew what it felt like to be. I was miserable. I felt very weak and vulnerable. I needed someone to tell me that I was strong enough to get through this and that I didn't have to permanently change my body, and that the mainstream message that I'm being told, maybe I should entertain the possibility that that's wrong.
If you liked this video and you found it informative, please don't.
My thing again is this: is if you wanted to be, like I said, it's so weird. I really don't understand this. This is something that does puzzle me, really does. Because again, we have the whole thing where people are like, okay, the LGBT, like I said, that phrase, those letters should not be together. Because again, if you're gay and you're lesbian, all right, bi, whatever. But if you're gay and lesbian, but trans, but then that means you're not gay or you're lesbian because you trans into another thing to be that. It's like that doesn't work. That don't make sense to me to be like, okay, so okay. Because by transgendering, then you're not gay or you're not lesbian. Well, but again, that's a different reality that people want to live in. And like I stated before, if you want to live that lifestyle out there, go ahead. I don't knock you or hate you because you transgender into a man or a woman. Again, as long as you tell people that you're gonna be sexually active with, that I'm a man and I was born a man, but I'm a woman or whatever. Outside that, if you walking down the street, like I said, Blair White, she walked down the street. That's like I just said. I'll say she. I'll call her she, because that's what I see. So I don't care what I do. You wanna be a Decepticon to me? No problem. But when you go try to be Decepticon with me, and then well, I ain't gonna say me because that's not my thing. Thank you. But if you're gonna Decepticon with somebody. Okay, can remember that Virginia student who, again, that guy pretending to be was a woman and went with a Virginia student and he got killed. Should he have got killed? No. That guy should have never got killed. That guy should have never killed him. But when you mess with people's passion and rages, angers, I talked about this a while ago too when a lot of women used to say, oh, we should teach our boys not to do these things and all this stuff. Again, evil's evil. I will always state that. But not only that, I would tell, because I have a sister, I have female, I'm the only male in my family, so I have that. Yeah, don't put yourself in a situation like that. Here's the thing. You know why I don't go down to McDougal Terrace? Is a bad place in North Carolina. It's just gangster and stuff. I don't put myself in that situation. Also, if I'm going to certain places, I don't wear the flashy stuff all the time because whatever. I mean, I wear the ring, but flashy stuff all because because if I know the situation where I am. It's called self-preservation. Now, tonight's show, I thank all of you who are joining across all platforms. I know, like I said, I see a lot of comments from Temporary FM. Thank you guys. I'm gonna, like I said, tomorrow if I don't have to do stuff tomorrow, I would have read the comments and I started earlier, but I started late tonight, so I do apologize for that. I really do. So again, I'll try to go. Like I said, just catch us back next week, Thursday, about 8:30, the local time, the normal time, like I normally do. That was my fault. So again, but don't like I said, I'm reading some of the comments from you guys. And I wish you, we got about 20,450 people across all platforms. Again, if you want to catch this stuff later back, whatever, you could go to, you're going to say YouTube, subscribe and share. But I know most of y'all would stay, like I said, Tempo FM. I always told you guys Tempo to go over there, thing, but it's worldwide. So I can't argue to that point. I thank y'all for that situation. That situation there. So again, yes. So going back, I said, don't let them pull the wool over your eyes and all this craziness that's going on up there, okay? Just don't. Because the government is going to do certain things as we saw. And I even forgot to tell you, I thought about it again. In the bill, which I don't know if they're passing now, I got to check to see, they're going to give money to, they're going to give $100 million to Hamas, which I'm like, wait, you don't give what the fuck? And I say Hamas because they say they're going to give $100 million to Palestine. The Palestinians never going to get that money. It's going to go to Hamas no matter what. Or I should have said Iran. And we're giving the money to it. We should have been funding both sides of this war. Again, there's a lot of Palestinians, like I said in my video, the last video I did, even, like I said, I'll try to see if we get it back up on YouTube, so you guys can go check it out, whatever. But the last video I did, what it said, there are a lot of innocent Palestinians who were getting killed, murdered, and slaughtered, and they shouldn't. And also Israel, that this conflict shouldn't involve the innocents, but war is a horrible thing. My heart goes out for a lot of Palestinians who are dying, the mothers, daughters, children, sons, and dying because of the militants. And the same thing goes with the Israelis. This war is just what it is. But, like I said before, we got that with the kill switch. Yeah, I don't like the government side. I don't like you getting into that because we know you're going to use it and abuse it, as you always do. And again, we saw the disease and everything. Now people changing their mind and the scandal. A few years late, but I figured that out a long time ago. So, again, thank you guys out there for joining us again. If you want to catch up on everything, you could get, again, watch us audio. If you want to catch audio, you get this Amazon Podcast, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Pandora. We got our chat, we got our stuff there. Also, for all the shows around the world again, from Nico, You Live, You Now, Tempo FM, Twitch TV, YouTube, Locals, and Rumble. Any place out there you want to go that you listen to or watch, you like the Kid Podcast, you want to sing, there you go. You'll see this on there, Project Over Mic. If you see it, you're in the right place. Right? Again, I want to thank you guys for giving me your time, your ear, your mind to think about stuff. Again, we're not going to all agree on everything. Understandable with that. But it's a conversation piece that I always like to talk about. So with that said, remember, evil comes in all shape, size, color, creed, height, sex, nationality. No matter what, evil is evil. Never represent that. I never will stand beside evil in that regard. And also remember, take care of yourself, then take care of your family, take care of your neighbors, and then take care of your community. That's how we get a great community that surrounds us, and we knock down all of these crimes that's going around in the neighborhoods. As my wife has said, move out of places where you don't got to worry about stuff like that. And last but not least, of course, remember that we gotta keep our eyes open for all kinds of things out there. I'll say it for one more time for certain people I've seen in the conversation from YouTube to wherever. If you're trans, you want to be trans after 18 years old, go right ahead. Don't do horrible things to people. Don't lie to them when you get intimate into them. Other than that, be trans, be free, whatever. I'm a libertarian. Do what you want to do in that regard, okay? But lead the kids and tell the people the truth up front of you. Just be truthful. That's all it is. With that said, remember, people are stupid, individuals smart. Be the smart individual. This is your boy Tig for Project Over Mike. Peace out. Have a good night. And we'll catch you next time. 8:30 p.m. on time, hopefully. Next week, Thursday. All right? Have a good night.